how did you end up in a suburb of Kansas City?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I guess you have to start from the beginning, really. I started in MMA when I was 23, so it was kind of late. How I got into it was I went and picked up tickets to a local MMA event, and the person that I went and picked the tickets up from was a like a MMA coach, and it was at a gym. And he was like, "Oh, do you train?" I was like, "No, you know, I like boxing. I've always thought about trying it." And he said, "Okay, well, before you try it, come in, have a trial, see if you like it." But I didn't at first, and I didn't actually end up going to the fight night. So I had a friend's birthday party I had to go to instead, and it was at like a local nightclub, and I ended up getting my drink spiked. Yeah, and I ended up in hospital. It was the weirdest, scariest experience ever. I had a taxi back to my house and had to like stop at the side of the road to throw up. Like, I knew that something was wrong, and I don't remember getting from there to the hospital. I remember flashing lights at one point, but that was it. And it kind of really freaked me out. So even if I didn't fight for self-defensive purposes, like let's go in and see if I like it, and I did. 6 months later, I had my first fight, and from then, like I got signed with Invicta and came over and had my debut fight against Cindy, which I lost. It's kind of like a good thing because I wouldn't have made the move if I didn't. As hard as a decision it was to leave my home, I knew that down the line in 5-10 years time, like I was going to regret it. So that's how I ended up in Kansas City. I'm a martial artist, but I'm also a fighter. And I think that there is distinct difference between the two. But I think that you kind of have to be in the sport of MMA these days. Like, you can be a martial artist, but you have to have that mentality of a fighter, of like, you need to go in that cage, beat the shit out of your opponent and get the job done. You can be a martial artist when you're training. That's fine. Like, it's all about the journey, and everyone has their own journey. But as soon as you step in that cage, you're not a martial artist anymore, you're a fighter. I just look at you and that's when I flip that switch. I'm like, okay, I have a job to do. I'm gonna break this person's will. I've seen a lot of violence. I've experienced a lot of violence, and I've dealt a lot of violence. I guess like there's a part of me that craves violence, that enjoys it, and I guess it's a thrill. Physically hurting somebody else in a legalized manner, that's great. I always had a lot of anger issues. Like, I remember once this girl was like bullying me, and I literally like went into the classroom and like threw a table across the room. I know. I've constantly been sent to a counsellor for anger issues, but there's a part of me that I guess has always been rebellious, has always been prone to violence. That sounds so bad, but oh well. It is what it is. When you can feel someone giving up, it's a great feeling. The thrill of winning, it's one of the most exciting things you can do. Like, after you've just been in a fist fight and you get your hand raised, like all your emotions are just so heightened, and it's exciting, and people wanting to support you and watch you and take photos, like that's exciting and humbling, and I got addicted. So I'm a half glass empty person. That also makes it tough in not only my everyday life, but in training, because I put so much expectations on myself, and I try so hard to like implement all the new techniques that we're learning, and it makes it hard because like I set myself to a higher standard, and being a girl, I feel like I have something to prove. This is such a male-dominated sport that I feel like I have to prove why like women deserve to be in this sport too. Like being the only girl in the training room it's different. It was definitely like, it was more of a struggle when I first started. That's still to this day one of the things that I struggle with the most, is like being the only girl in the training room. I feel like sometimes they hide behind my height and my size, because I might be one of the tallest in the room, but that's the thing, I'm not one of the strongest in the room. My movements when I spar, it's not like a typical girl. I guess I try to break the mold and not be the 1-2 slip 2 take down, that kind of, like I try to mix it up. I try to do different things like that the guys are doing, and I think because I hit angles that they don't normally expect, that they kind of have to, I don't know, go harder on me.
Setting that up, I'm working out. Maybe I hit
Like sometimes I feel like they go harder on me than they go with other guys. Maybe that's to prove a point, maybe that's they want to push me because they know that I'm capable of it. I don't know, but that's just something that I'm constantly having to find a balance, and I guess that's where my toughness comes from. I'm like, I get beat up all the time in the gym, so like there's nothing that these girls can do that I haven't experienced before. Like I don't ever train with women. I try and do the best that I can every day. I try to implement what we've been learning, and that's all you can do. You always put 100% in. But like I definitely would like to see more girls training, no matter what size, like or no matter whether they want to fight or not. I think it's always great to see people step out of their comfort zone and do something that they haven't done before, and see them grow as a person through that. I think it's definitely awesome to see that. Like I just consider myself like an everyday person, like everybody else, trying to achieve a dream. It's been an incredible journey so far, and it's definitely exciting to see, what the next stage of the journey is going to bring. We did it. I'm so glad that I'm with you.
I think we can go this way.
Before we start, is it Megan or Megan, or is it your accent?
It's Megan. So
It is Megan.
So
Okay.
pronounce like the easiest way I tell people to pronounce it is like pronounce it with 2 E's, even though there's no 2 E's.
Okay.
So most of the time people, when they first hear it, they think Megan, but and I'll answer to both. I'm so used to it now, but it's actually Megan.
Awesome, thank you. We've always had this long debate. It's like, wait, is this just her accent?
So many people, I get so many people tell me that all the time, like, oh, well, we kind of thought like maybe it was Megan, but then you kind of sound like it was Megan. Like, I don't know. Think like Negan from
Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead,
Okay,
just
there
with
you
an M.